Odin's ravens, the spies of the gods. Every morning at dawn, 2 ravens launch from the shoulders of the Allfather. They soar across the 9 realms, witnessing everything: the schemes of giants, the movements of armies, the whispers of the dead. By breakfast time, they return to whisper secrets into Odin's ears. Their names are Huginn and Muninn, thought and memory, and they are the most feared intelligence network in Norse mythology. But here's what most people miss. Odin, the supposed all-seeing god, lives in constant terror that one day his ravens might not come back. Today, we're rediving into the true story of Odin's spies and why the god of wisdom fears losing his memory more than losing his own life. The standard translation calls them thought and memory, but that barely scratches the surface. Huginn comes from the Old Norse word *huga*, which doesn't just mean thought. It encompasses perception, comprehension, awareness, mood, desire, and the power to analyze the world around you. Huginn is the active, analytical mind, the faculty that processes new information in real time. Muninn is even more complex. While it contains the concept of memory, the word *mona* primarily means intent, will, affection, desire, and curiosity. Muninn isn't just a storage vault of past events. He represents the motivation and will to act that comes from retained knowledge. Together, they form a complete psychological model. Huginn gathers and analyzes intelligence. Muninn stores that wisdom and transforms it into the will to take action. This isn't just poetic, it's strategic. Odin's power as a god of war doesn't come merely from knowing what's happening right now. It comes from remembering past conflicts, analyzing historical patterns, and having the will to fight future battles. In the Prose Edda written by Snorri Sturluson, around 1220, we get the classic description. 2 ravens sit on Odin's shoulders, fly out at dawn across the entire cosmos, and return at breakfast time to report everything they've seen and heard. This daily reconnaissance mission earned Odin the title *Hrafnagu*, the Raven God. But Snorri's account, written centuries into the Christian era, sanitizes the myth. He presents it like a king receiving his morning intelligence, briefing civilized, bureaucratic, orderly. The darker, older sources tell a very different story. The poetic Edda preserves much older oral traditions, and in the poem Grimnismal, we get something shocking. Odin's confession of fear, disguised and being tortured. Odin reveals his deepest anxiety. Huginn and Muninn fly each day over the great earth. I fear for Huginn that he come not back, yet more anxious am I for Muninn. Think about what this means. Odin is supposedly the all-seeing, all-knowing god, but his knowledge isn't an inherent divine quality, it's outsourced. It's a system, and he lives in constant, gnawing dread that his system will fail. This isn't just worry about losing to birds. This is the existential terror of a spy master who knows his agents are operating deep in enemy territory. It's the fear of a god who sacrificed his eye for wisdom, who hung himself from the world tree for 9 nights to master the runes, only to realize that all his hard-won knowledge could vanish in a single day. But why is he more afraid of losing Muninn than Huginn? Scholars offer 3 overlapping interpretations. First, the fear of senility. Huginn represents the process of thinking you can lose that temporarily through unconsciousness, or permanently through death. But Muninn represents the sum of all acquired wisdom. For Odin, often depicted as a graying old man, losing his memory would be like dementious identity dissolving while his body lives on. Second, the fear of apathy. If Odin loses Huginn, he becomes irrational. But if he loses Muninn, his will, his motivation, he loses his purpose entirely. For a god defined by his relentless quest for knowledge, losing the drive to quest is worse than death. Third, the shaman sphere. Odin practices seer Norse shamanic magic, which involves projecting his consciousness outside his body. The ravens aren't just external birds, they're extensions of Odin's own mind. His thought and memory given form through shamanic power. His fear is that during one of these spirit journeys, his consciousness might not be able to return to his body, leaving him a mindless shell. All of this connects to one thing. Ragnarok. Odin knows the prophecy. He knows the end is coming, that he's fated to be killed by the wolf Fenrir in the final battle. His entire quest for wisdom is driven by this knowledge of his inevitable doom. The ravens are his primary intelligence network to prepare for an unwinnable war. Losing Huginn's daily intelligence would be a devastating tactical blow. He'd be blind to enemy movements. But losing Muninn would be a strategic catastrophe. He'd lose all accumulated knowledge needed to fight, the will to fight it, and the cultural memory that must be preserved so the world can be reborn after Ragnarok. Now, here's where it gets really dark. Snorri's description of the ravens gathering news is a polite euphemism. The third grammatical treatise, quoting older sources, reveals the brutal truth. 2 ravens flew from Odin's shoulders, Huginn to the hanged and Muninn to the slain. The ravens aren't just observers, they're interrogators of the newly dead. As carrion birds, they have natural and mythological access to corpses and hanged men who were themselves sacrifices to Odin. The dead possess what scholars call chthonic wisdom, knowledge from other worlds hidden from the living. The ravens extract tactical intelligence from the spirits of the slain and report back to Odin. This is why the Norse called Odin Hoffenblotz, Gogi priest of the raven sacrifice. To kill an enemy in battle was poetically described as giving the ravens a gift. The fallen were sacrifices to the ravens, and through them to Odin himself. This wasn't just abstract mythology. It was woven into the very language of war, through *KENNINGS*, complex poetic metaphors. A warrior wasn't just a warrior. He was a feeder of the raven. Blood wasn't blood. It was Huginn's drink. Battle itself was called Huginn's feast. By using these phrases, Viking poets weren't just being creative, they were placing conflicts under Odin's divine sanction and normalizing the carnage of war as a sacred act. The myth even manifested physically in the *Hafensmerki*, the raven banner. This was or universal. Viking flaget was the personal battle standard of specific powerful chieftains who claimed descent from Odin, including the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok, Earl Sigurd of Orkney, Canute the Great, and Harald Hardrada. The banner served dual purposes. Psychologically, it invoked the terror of the raven god against Christian enemies who understood its pagan significance. But it was also believed to be oracular, predicting battle outcomes. Chronicles claim that before a victory, the raven on the banner would appear to flap its wings, but before defeat, it would hang motionless. This wasn't superstition. This was the myth, weaponized, transforming Odin's knowledge-gathering ravens from story into a tangible supernatural weapon system. The archaeological record confirms how ancient and central this myth was. Gold bracteates from the 5th–6th centuries show Odin with 2 birds. Incredibly, a pair of bird-shaped brooches from around 500 to 700 CE were designed to be worn, one on each. Shoulder people were literally fashioning themselves in their goddess image, wearing thought and memory on their own bodies centuries before the Eddas were written down. What makes Odin's ravens unique in world mythology isn't just that they're messengers. In Greek myth, when Apollo's raven brought him true but unwelcome news about his lover's infidelity, Apollo punished the messenger, scorching it black. But Odin doesn't punish his messengers, he fears losing them. This single difference encapsulates the core of Norse philosophy. Wisdom, however grim, is the only weapon. Knowledge, however terrible, is worth any price, a hanging, or the daily gnawing anxiety that one morning your memory might not come back. Huginn and Muninn aren't just cool mythological symbols. They're the personification of something deeply human, the fear that we might lose our minds, our memories, our very selves. They remind us that even gods depend on fragile systems, that wisdom requires constant vigilance, and that the most powerful beings in mythology aren't afraid of death, they're afraid of forgetting.